Ever heard of a harpsichord? No one plays it quite like Mahan Esfahani. For us, he draws unexpected sounds from this Baroque instrument, an instrument to which he has devoted his life.
When I first heard it, when I first touched it, I said, "This is me."
Mahan Esfahani is considered one of the world's leading harpsichordists. As artist-in-residence at the Leipzig Bach Festival, his focus is entirely on the music of Johann Sebastian Bach.
Bach is the manifestation of this ceaseless search for everything. Bach is very human. Bach is one of us. Of course he's my favorite composer. Who am I kidding? Yes, of course he's my favorite composer. I mean, he is the alpha and the omega.
Esfahani is a true citizen of the world. Born in Tehran and raised in the United States, he lived and studied in Milan, Oxford, and London, and has called Prague home for the past 10 years. He comes to Leipzig for concerts regularly. What's his remedy for stage fright?
I mean, you can't do any better than ironing your shirt. It gives me a feeling of achievement before I'm about to go on stage. That's fundamentally my only ritual.
When Esfahani was 4 years old, his parents emigrated to the US. He started playing the piano at an early age. His uncle gave him a cassette recording of a concert when he was 9, a life-changing moment for the musician.
It was Bach Cembalo Concerto, the D minor. You may know it, but it's this. There's a part where in one of the solos, at the end it goes. And at that point I said, well, this is not one instrument. It has to be 10 different instruments. And my father said from the other room, he said, that's one instrument. It's called harpsichord. And from that point, I guess Bach and harpsichord I discovered at the same time.
The harpsichord has a remarkable variety of sounds. Its strings are plucked by a hidden mechanism. Esfahani explains how these sounds are produced. Playing with the instrument's different registers is anything but simple.
Here on the harpsichord in the sort of lighter registers, you know, it can be very, very beautiful. Or something like that. But of course, in the lower register of the harpsichord, you have this sort of, you know, this kind of snarl of the instrument. That sort of stuff in the harpsichord can be, you know, immensely powerful. This sort of range of colors and possibilities I find sort of tremendously inspiring. I can also put these bits of leather on this set of strings, and that makes, as you see, it's dampened the string. So that's a very nice sound.
He also uses this leather damping effect in his Leipzig performance of Bach's G major Partita. The harpsichord suddenly sounds almost like a lute or a guitar. Through Esfahani's playing, it becomes clear just how visionary Bach's music was, even in the 18th century.
We've started with relatively simple harmonies of. By the end, we have. And I think what Bach is saying is that even from a world and sounds that you consider familiar, now I'm going to break music. And I think the partitas are a greatly provocative statement in that sense.
Contemporary music is another of Esfahani's passions, and it can be wonderfully unconventional. One example is the experimental piece October 1582 by composer Mark Appelbaum, premiered at the Rockport Chamber Music Festival. It is one of the few works written specifically for the harpsichord today.
When a composer sees that only the sound of the harpsichord can express what they want to say, well, that's absolutely brilliant. What musician can be a serious musician and have no interest in music of his time? I have a responsibility to music, to be a witness to the development.
Esfahani is not afraid of experiments, working with electronics and creating new sonic experiences. Nearly 40 composers around the world have written pieces for him.
One can use techniques that you didn't think were previously possible. There's a work written for me by Miroslav Srinka. How do we show crescendo and diminuendo between 2 points and sort of shadow it and give it color? Well, we just have Abbasi wrote me also a piece where, you are really starting with sort of blocks of sound that eventually find sort of clarity within, sort of. And of course, don't forget, we do have, that's quite loud. We do have there's a percussive element. There's a piece by Luke Ferrari, which I played, and this is using all of these kind of techniques to, again, to break the sort of boundaries of the instrument.
Currently, Esfahani is recording the complete keyboard works of Bach for the label Hyperion Records, including the Harpsichord Concerto with the Britten Sinfonia Ensemble, the very piece that first inspired him to take up the harpsichord as a child. Mahan Esfahani is a great musician who, despite all his success, remains remarkably modest.
I'm here to give expression to composers who are my superiors. I'm not a musician. A composer is a musician. I just play music. That's all I do.